And I wonder if you recall hearing concerns from some Christian MPs about new government plans which say they will see Ofsted regulating youth clubs and Sunday schools. Well, the out-of-school settings proposals have been drafted and as part of the counter-extremism strategies and will require organisations looking after children for more than 6 hours a week to register and potentially face inspections.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. And today, a new poll by Comres for the Christian Institute has found there seems to be widespread concern about these plans. We want to unpack this story a little bit further, and joining us on the line to help us do that is Ciarán Kelly, Head of Communications for the Christian Institute. Hi, Ciarán.
Hi, Hannah.
Now, just 4 in 10 suggest these plans are going to enhance public safety. 2/3 saying the plans go too far. How surprised are you by the level of concern from MPs?
Not altogether surprised, really, Hannah. We've been talking about this for some months now. We've been making the point again and again that the plans are far, far too broad and aren't remotely targeted where they should be. And clearly these poll results for a good breadth of MPs is saying the same thing.
You said obviously you're not that surprised and the plans are too broad. And you've been speaking about this for a while, but concern from church groups and now MPs. Why is the government not listening? Why is it still pushing ahead with these plans?
Well, that is a very good question, Hannah, and of course you would have to ask David Cameron or Nicky Morgan or someone else in the government to get a good answer on that. But clearly they've shown that they are committed to it. Michael Wilshaw who's the head of Ofsted, has been very public in his statements that there is a need to get into Sunday schools and church youth groups and the like, and have whistleblowers telling stories of what's going on in those settings in order to get Ofsted inspectors in there. And it's an utter intrusion into the work of churches. Why are they pressing ahead with it? Who can say?
You say that obviously it's an intrusion, and you mentioned earlier you thought these plans were too broad. With this poll in mind, how hopeful are you the government will maybe rethink and tweak these plans a little bit?
Hannah, I think in the past we've seen this government and previous governments again and again push ahead with things in the face of widespread public opposition. The fact that there are a number of MPs willing to make their views known and say that the government needs to rein this in, and a number of those being very public in those views, that gives some cause for hope. But I don't think we should get terribly carried away just yet, and until such time as the government makes a full and public commitment to dropping these plans as they need to. I think the jury's out on that. In fact, having been talking about this this relates to England, but in Wales, a consultation has recently been launched to do a similar or even more extensive inspections in Wales. So at the moment, the signs aren't really there that anyone's going to back down on this anytime soon.
You said obviously no one's going to back down on this. And Ciarán, before we let you go, the time for consultation has very much finished. But what can listeners do if they're worried about this and they want to raise a bit of concern?
Well, first and foremost, listeners should be contacting their MPs. They need to make the government aware that perhaps the government has an outdated view of church life and what churches do. I think perhaps they think the work that churches undertake with young people is limited to an hour on a Sunday morning, and of course and many of your listeners know that that's not the experience of their kind of churches. There's hundreds of lively and engaging churches around the country who are running Easter Bible clubs. We're in the run-up to that time, as well as Sunday schools, as well as youth groups, and very quickly these hours can rack up to the 6-hour threshold the government had been talking about. So your listeners need to be on the front foot with their MPs, making them aware that just how strongly they feel about this, and putting pressure on their MPs to put pressure onto the government to drop these terrible plans.
Thanks, Kieran. And we've got a statement here from the Department of Education saying, we recognise many out-of-school education settings do a great job in supporting children's education and development. But without proper oversight, there's a risk that some children attending may be exposed to harm, including from extremism.
Thanks, Hannah, and thank you to Ciarán Kelly from the Christian Institute.